Welcome to New Game Plus. This is a retro gaming podcast where three guys spend 7 days playing one old game and then we talk about it. My name's Dustin.
My name's Kenny.
Nolan.
And you are listening to episode 270.
Yeah. Big 270.
And fellas, do you know what kind of episode this is?
Well, it must be a Patreon pool.
Dun, 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 dun. During that bit, Tom, if you'll play that new jingle.
Created by...
Thank you to one of our listeners, Jordan, for creating that incredible Pokemon Stadium-inspired jingle when it comes to Patreon pools. We'll use that from now on because it's amazing.
Yeah,
I like it. Hype.
If you are at home right now or in the car or wherever listening to this and you are a creator and want to create other NGP-related things,
for free.
send it to us. For free. Oh, yeah. We're not, well, no. We're not paying you.
Oh, okay.
Let's talk about a couple of recent gaming news items that we haven't gotten around to because Texas froze over.
Yes.
Nolan,
Please.
we'll begin with you to just do what you want to do with the Diablo news.
Oh, I thought you were going a different way for me. But
for you?
Yeah.
What's bigger for you?
It may not be on your list.
You seemed most excited about Diablo 2 news.
So am. I totally am. I cannot wait. D2 is getting a remaster, not a remake, a remaster. So graphic overhaul, quality of life stuff. It looks incredible. I cannot wait. It's supposed to come out this year, so I'll be playing that for sure.
And you don't even care about D4 anymore.
Look, after that BlizzCon line thing, not really. Not as much as D2 remaster.
I'm still hopeful for the new one.
Yeah.
I don't know, man.
It looks good to me.
It looks.
Did you watch the really messed up trailer for D4?
Yeah. Oh, the cinematic?
With the ears?
Yeah. That was great. That was a great throwback too. But like, it just looks very slow. I think I'm just a PoE scrub now. And PoE is very fast. What, Kenny?
But fingers crossed that D2 gets the StarCraft treatment and not the Warcraft treatment.
Amen. That's true.
Amen to that, brother. Nolan, where did you think I was going? What gaming news are you most excited about?
Skyward Sword's getting an HD release on Switch.
Right, but what I was saying is that people weren't excited about that because out of the ones that they could have done, Skyward Sword was not the ones that fans were like, that's the one we want.
I also feel like everyone's just giving them flack for remaking old expensive games and then still charging full price for games.
I'm fine with that. I'm totally fine with that. No, okay, if they're salty, then stay salty. What? You want Breath of the Wild 2 news? That wasn't going to happen. You want... Well, I want Ages and Seasons remade, but that's fine. I can wait. But the HD release of Skyward Sword is super hype. I love Skyward Sword.
It's Wolf Boy, right?
What?
Wolf Boy?
No, that's Twilight Princess that already has an HD release.
Wait, what's
this?
Skyward
Was on the
Sword?
Wii, and you had to use the Wiimote as the sword, and you were swinging the sword with the Wiimote.
I thought you had to do that with Twilight Princess too.
There was a Wii release for Twilight Princess, but it was originally on GameCube. I'm hyped for it. Of course, I'll play that on my Switch. Yeah.
Well, speaking of remakes, they're remaking the remake of Final Fantasy VII.
Bro. Yeah.
So there's a lot of Final Fantasy VII news.
You upset about that?
Listen, Final Fantasy VII Remake Intergrade, which I didn't even know was a word, is going to be this re-release of the game that just came out.
Like yesterday.
A couple days ago. And it is the thing that's nice and that I found out in retrospect is that it is a free upgrade for PS4 users. If you own the game on PS4 and you also own a PS5, you can upgrade to the PS5 version, Intergrade, for free. So that's nice.
But Intercourse is not going to be on PS4.
Can't say that. It doesn't sound like it.
That sucks for people.
Sure. Well, it says that you have to upgrade it to the PS5 version, but you can't play the PS5 version on the PS4, right?
Okay.
But it's enhanced graphics. the game was already pushing the limits of the PS4, so like we're already enhanced.
It look when they they do those side by side comparisons, and sometimes you're like, wow, dude. They like did the slide. It was the exact same footage. It didn't look any different. Come on.
It's that meme. The corporate wants you to tell the difference between these two pictures. Meme, absolutely. And it's exactly the same. You'd be
sweating.
Picture.
There's no difference.
You are a clown if you think there's any difference in those visuals, or at least any difference that matters. I'm still interested in the Yuffie DLC. So that's something that I'm most excited about. They talked about that. You still have to purchase that. But
is she your waifu? No, Tifa's.
Tifa
Jessie
has to be Jessie now since I played the remake.
Man of taste.
Listen, Yuffie is amazing. I've always loved Yuffie. It's cool that they're bringing her in. This story is going to be completely new, though. It's gonna that's not a part of Final Fantasy VII, the original game.
No. She's in a village.
Yeah, she's following along our crew, is what it looks like, with another new character. So
in a very good disguise. No one's gonna notice her.
Y'all keep saying it's pajamas. It's Yuffie. That's what she does.
She doesn't wear that.
I get all of my gaming news secondhand from you guys talking about it. And so I legitimately thought that there was a Yuffie in her pajamas DLC. And then I don't know what else I thought, but it was all wrong and tainted.
It's literally not, though.
There are also they announced 2 Final Fantasy VII mobile games. One of them, Nolan, Kenny, one of them is a Final Fantasy VII Battle Royale.
How?
Where you have guns.
I don't have a smartphone.
A gun? Are you playing as like soldier?
Yeah, it's called Soldier something. You're trying to become a soldier first class or something like that. I didn't give that any kind of second thought because absolutely not. The other one is like a pocket edition of Final Fantasy VII where you're going to play as like little chibis and do key moments from the expansive Final Fantasy VII story, not just the main story, but Advent Children, Before Crisis, Crisis Core, and Dirge of Cerberus moments in there. So that one's kind of
when Remake came out, I was like, good on them. They did it. You were very happy. Dude, now I'm just like, okay, so actually they are doing what I thought they'd do. And everything, Final Fantasy VII cereal. Like, we want your money. And so this is...
They're milking the cow. Milking the cow for sure. Well, like I've mentioned, my feelings on it on all of this are, quite honestly, a bit of a mix.
Yeah.
And listen, if y'all like my segues, you don't have to Kirby your enthusiasm. Like, just let it out and have fun with
it. Tom, can you add that, please?
The Kirby your enthusiasm music?
Yeah.
Crystal Shard? Like in our retro game of the week, Kirby 64, the Crystal Shards.
Overview.
Kirby 64, the Crystal Shards is a 2000 side-scrolling platformer developed by HAL Laboratory and published by Nintendo for the Nintendo 64. So we got to whip out our incredible controllers this week, the 3-pronged controllers that you didn't need actually to play this game.
Aliens delivered it to the Earth.
Aliens delivered it to the Earth, but then humans tried to figure out what to do with it and created the control system for Kirby 64 because that's what humans do. While it might feel 3D and there are 3D elements to it, it's actually a 2D perspective. And we played other games like that. What does that mean?
2.5D.
Yeah, it means that that the models are 3D, but you're moving in a 2D environment.
We're locked into a 2D and plane environment.
The gameplay just happens in one direction.
Like baby, you light up my... So there, you're only moving... He said one direction. And I'm going to do that every time he does.
I didn't know
you
that was
one direction.
Baby, you light...
You can't give me that much power.
Kirby's moving only left and right, up and down. So that is what's entirely unique here, and we'll talk about it. But like I was trying to allude to with the controller, aliens delivered it to it, but humans were like, I don't know what to do with this, so I'm just going to use what's familiar. And that's what happens in this control scheme. You're using the D-pad rather than the analog stick. Again, we'll get to that. But it makes sense when it's a 2.5D perspective, and all you need to do is move how you've normally moved in other platforming games before. Like many other Kirbys, you traverse levels, you obtain powers, and you fight bosses every now and again. What are the other Kirby games we have played on this show?
There is one Kirby game. Yeah.
And?
It's called Dreamland. It's for the
Game
Boy.
Yep, you're correct. And you'll get $1 million.
Oh,
Kenny will be delivering it to your house.
My address is...
so Kirby's Dreamland on the Game Boy. And I think we gave it New Game Plus status and all kind of felt that it was a really cute, great game.
I think we freaked out, actually.
Are there any Kirby trash games?
Probably.
I've never played a trash Kirby game, I'll say that, but I haven't played them all, like nowhere near. However, I've played one on DS, I've played the Game Boy one, I've played this one, and I don't know. There's probably a trash one.
There's over 30 games, so surely at least one of them has to be garbage, right? You think there's any Kirby edutainment games?
Yeah, there's probably a spin-off one that's like some weird like pinball machine game or something. That's actually probably sick. Never mind.
Let me admit here, if there's any of these characters that deserves a pinball game, it's the little round guy.
Yeah,
Kirby could do it well.
I didn't like Kirby growing up.
Why? I knew Kenny'd be offended. He's too cute. That's why Kenny reacted like that.
He is cute. I don't know why.
But even beyond that, like, he sucks.
All right. That's the only one you get to say, Kenny. That's
Baby, you light up my world like...
No,
Harry,
I didn't give it to you. I will.
I think,
don't worry.
Did you not like him because he didn't really talk, and so you didn't get a good sense of his personality?
He wanted to be cool, and if he was playing Smash Brothers, he was playing Falcon Punch like every other kid that wanted to be cool.
I wouldn't normally do this, but my wife just messaged me and said, "Don't let them make you feel bad for not liking Kirby. They don't like Spyro." Oh man,
she's not gonna let that go.
Cute.
Wow.
The game is just bad.
Listen, I don't know why. Maybe it's because the characterization's not there, the story's not robust. I think but it's a platformer, so I don't typically expect that, you know? So I don't know what it was, but I think I had some Kirby games on the Game Boy, maybe even Dreamland, but it never worked for me.
Were you dropped on your head as a child at any point?
That's not that.
That could explain
let me
dislike.
Let me share the plot.
Okay, yeah.
Dark matter has invaded Ripple Star. This is why I probably didn't like it, guys. Ripple!
No, clean your ears.
A planet populated by fairies. The fairy Ribbon flees with a sacred crystal, but dark matter shatters it and spreads it across the galaxy. Ribbon then lands on Popstar, meets Kirby, and the two set out together to retrieve the shards and defeat dark matter once and for all.
Is King reasonable behind it?
King DDDDDD is not behind it, actually.
Hey, wait. Okay, so you don't like Kirby, or didn't like Kirby, but don't you like Meta Knight a lot?
Yeah, Meta Knight was always the cool guy. And I think the reason I didn't like this is because it was too kiddie for me. Kirby, the way that it plays and the way that it looks and presents itself is very childish.
That box art. But see, the box art to me is super appealing. Like, I wanted to play that, very colorful and kiddie.
Sure, it's
but I can see why
colorful.
you're like, okay, this is not.
You said you didn't like it as a kid, though. Were you not a child?
He was mature for his age.
He wanted to be cooler than he was. That's what
he wanted. The spiky hair boy games.
Yep.
One of the promotional pieces for this game I shared in Discord this week. I don't think either of you saw it, so I would love to share it with you. I'll talk about it right now. But it was this poster, I believe, and at the top it says "The Face of Terror" in all caps, and then it's got Kirby, and it's got a few lines pointing to various parts of Kirby, saying how, with text saying how he's the face of terror, such as Pipsqueak's size gives him a nasty attitude. Arms chuck bombs with amazing accuracy. Highly flammable. Spits fire to destroy enemies.
Dead stare eyes.
Yeah, Blubber hides massive arsenal.
True though.
They had fun with this.
That's pretty good.
I like that kind of tongue-in-cheek thing.
Yeah.
So this is the game that we played this week, and as we already mentioned, it is a Patreon pool. This game was submitted by both Starshine and Francesca. To find out how you can be a part of our next Patreon pool and to have your game possibly selected for a future episode, you can visit patreon.com/NGP podcast.
Gameplay.
All right, so let's get back to the 2.5D thing. So the adaptation of Nintendo series naturally made their way to 3D with the N64. This happened with Zelda. This happened with, a lot of series. And so for this one, Dustin mentioned that you're using the D-pad on the N64 controller. That is weird. If you know anything about the system, no one utilized the D-pad. Not even like function, like you couldn't even use it for anything in a lot of games. Like it was just there.
I like it though.
I do too.
The whole novelty of the design of that controller was that you could do both.
Well, you should have been able to, but like I'm saying, I can't name one game that used it outside of... Well, I can now that I've done the podcast because we played Mischief Makers, and that was
D-pad too?
Yeah, that was D-pad only.
And listen, if it was just the decision to do D-pad, or they could have allowed you to use analog as well, I feel like. But even if it was just D-pad, I feel like they did not take advantage of this control scheme, and they had and this isn't an early N64 title.
Yeah,
no.
You know this was an intentional choice because they started development assuming that they were going to use the joystick and the Z button and did that with other games, and then it just didn't work. And I can 100% respect them saying this doesn't feel right for this game that's a typical platformer that people are used to, and we have this novel second option as a controller, like just swap it.
I can too, but again, if that was all there was to it, but every single C button and the shoulder buttons all do the same thing. It's one of those that does not, and the Z trigger is not even a part of the equation. The Z trigger and the analog stick, probably the two most important things on a Nintendo 64 controller, are not even usable.
That's not where you're gonna put your hands. That's
you
the
can
whole
rub
point.
it on the desk or something.
Okay,
just like hit it on your leg to trigger the Z button.
I honestly can't hold it against them too much because I really feel like a lot of these development teams were developing games. They were like, hey, we have a new gen coming out and it's going to be like 3D graphics. Like, here's the tools. Let's make a cool game. And then they were like, also, this is the controller. And they were like, what? And so a lot, and we're finding, as we play N64 games, we're finding a lot of them did not properly utilize the buttons that were available. But despite that, in Kirby 64, I felt like I had what I needed, and I was okay with the D-pad. It's a little stiff. Yeah. That D-pad's not my favorite. Let's be honest. It's kind of stiff, but I was happy. I wouldn't have wanted the joystick here because of the 2D plane that we're talking about. It felt like a platformer, and so with platformers, I prefer D-pad.
We all know the N64 is awkward and was sort of a transitional console. It's, it's home console puberty. Like, it's where this stuff grew up into being what other consoles became. And so it's going to be awkward, but that's okay. And I think they found a scheme that worked all right. I agree, a little more button variety and utilization probably could have been called for, but the D-pad over toggle thing, in my mind, is a really good fit for what they were trying to do in this game.
Let's move off the D-pad discussion, and talk about the kind of big thing here in this game that I alluded to in the spectacular segue, the Kirby's mix power, the power combos. In Kirby games, he is known for sucking, digesting, and assuming the power of certain enemies that he digests,
which has so much potential. Like, that's just a really, really fun mechanic.
Really cool concept that
they've done an amazing job generally of utilizing that in games.
Hold on, Getty. What did you say they stole it from, Dustin?
Mega Man.
Okay. No, they did not.
This is a Mega Man game.
Nope, it is not.
Oh my goodness.
Okay,
it's a Mega Man Vania.
Yeah,
your mind only goes one direction.
It's an RPG when you really think about it.
My world light.
Okay, for this game, The combinations are Skinny. You can't, and Dustin, you have to stop too.
He's tickled, dude.
Because you can combine powers in this game, where you get you swallow an enemy or you throw their power at something to combine it into a power. It makes the game so creative, and the pacing is excellent, because for a lot of platformers in general, you will find the most powerful weapon power up and stick with it, and if you lose it, you're like, okay, I need to get that again, like missile launcher or whatever, I don't know. But in this one, I'm constantly experimenting and trying to remember combinations, but also new enemies being presented to me, and I'm not sure what power I'm going to get from them. And then like you come up with a combination, and then you make it work. You're like, okay, I wasn't looking for this, but this is kind of sick. For instance, there's a Darth Maul lightsaber that you can get that is...
Darth Maul.
Darth Maul's got the double lightsaber. And Kirby,
yeah,
like,
probably other ones do too, but yes.
Like... What?
Runs like it's a lightsaber.
Yeah,
he runs with it right behind him.
Yes, like it gets crazy, but I love I was always using a new power up, and I really, really like that about this.
Yeah, I can't overstate how much I liked this mechanic.
Yeah.
It was absolutely the most charming thing about this game, and this game's got Kirby in it. When you can out-charm the little Charmmeister, you're pretty dang charming. And it ticked all my boxes. It made me want to experiment with different enemies. It made me want to even have some replayability on the game. Like, what if I did that but fought that boss with a different, power up? All the things that make you interested in continuing to go. And the movesets are diverse enough that you actually have to learn to use some of those well too. There's skill sets there, and so I absolutely love. You didn't even scratch the surface. There's I think a total of something like 28 total distinct powers in this game.
It'd be more than that, because listen, because there's 7 individual powers. Mm-hmm. Burn, needle, spark, cutter, ice, stone, and bomb. So wouldn't that mean 7 times 7? Because you can even team up the same one twice. So that's 49 different.
Yeah, it's 49.
Powers,
I'm looking at the chart. Yes.
Kenny thinks we're wrong because he's probably read the number somewhere, and he might be right. But there's 7 individual powers. You can power up burn and burn to do this Firebird attack, and then burn and every single other one as well, and then just go down the list. Yeah, there are so many different abilities. You can use them as, but not only that, there's even more, because you can use each one as single pieces too.
Yeah.
And they're also so well thought out.
Yeah, they are.
Each of these things,
not every single one.
Almost every single one. So each of these things represents like an idea or an element.
Yeah.
You've got your little spiky boy, you've got your fire thing, you've got your electric thing, and then you combine them and they start to do some really creative stuff. What happens when you combine ice with electricity? Of course, you get a refrigerator.
That is ridiculous.
What?
Yes. Well, and also they matched the stages too that you were on, the planets. By the way, the lava stage, amazing. I remember that one from childhood. But the elements that you're talking about, Kenny, will match the tone of the stage, and it's so good. It's actually really creative.
It is really fun that they thought through all those, and the way that they present them to you is slow enough that it doesn't feel overwhelming at first, because it could if they just drop it all on you, but they slowly sprinkled them throughout the stages at first. Kenny, you brought up the ice, the refrigerator one. If you put fire or burn and spark together, Kirby is adorable, guys. He pulls out a piece of paper and starts rubbing it on his head to create static electricity, which sets him on fire, and then he starts running.
And then he burns things because of static electricity.
From a development standpoint, that's really impressive that they did that many different animations and abilities.
Absolutely.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
And they work differently. You have these, you have these smart bombs where what's better than a bomb plus another bomb? Missiles.
Yeah.
It's an upgraded bomb. It makes so much sense in my mind. It was great. You have the little drills that like
Oh,
you
yeah.
take them and they fly and he grabs onto them and they just like move one direction and you kill
Baby,
everything.
you lied. Listen,
Wow.
that one was my favorite one. Okay, so the power drill.
You were
I want
owning
to
with
hear.
it.
I want to hear yours. I loved it, dude. It's stone and needle creates power drill, and like Kenny said, it's so cool because you can hold on to it endlessly, and just follow it. You can't change the direction, and if there's a hole, it's gonna go down into it. But if you let it go, it goes off as a projectile. I thought it was super cool. It's probably not the best one, but I had the most fun with it.
Yeah. I mean, mine from a design standpoint is the lightsaber one because the animation that Kirby does when he runs with it is really cool. Like holds it behind him, he looks kind of like epic. But I also really like the like just from the solo boomerang one where he throws his face. And it's like
really?
a huge boomerang.
I do not like that
one.
one.
It's a little slow.
It was weird to me.
It's a
I
little
like
slow,
the power of it.
It's
you
big
lose some
though.
controls of Kirby when you throw it though.
Yeah, but it's big and covered a lot of the screen, and I use that one a lot actually.
There were so many I liked. I liked fireworks. I liked missiles. But I think the one that I was like, wow, you guys really went hard at this on like a design and making them unique and function differently was I don't know, the like force lightning boulder. I don't know what you'd call that, but the lightning rock where I don't know if you guys ever got that one, but it's like this rock and then you're attached to it with lightning and can like move it around all different ways. It's like tethered to you.
Yeah.
So powerful.
And
it bounces around.
Right. And so like hard to master, but really powerful. And I don't know, they just were so creative in these.
Just for clarification purposes, I think Kenny's number was probably more correct, or we're somewhere in between, because on this chart it doubles up. So it's got lightsaber under cutter spark as well as spark cutter.
Okay.
So it's going to be a few less than what
he
we
destroyed us.
Still, there are so many. Like you can easily get through a playthrough of this and not have experienced each one.
True.
Easy.
Oh yeah, I'm sure I didn't see all of them.
Right.
And I was looking to find them because I was so intrigued.
Something else that is like classic Kirby, but also just unique to platformers in general, boss fights. And here, very unique fights. I mean, so much about this game is unique, but the boss fights were also unique, very epic. And what's really balanced about them and what I appreciate is that it's very possible to go into that fight or start it with a power-up and then lose it. Or you go into the fight without a specific power-up, and so you're like, well, I just have air that I can shoot out. But the bosses will fuel you with, like, enemies that you can inhale and then use. And so it felt balanced, and I really liked pretty much every boss. I thought they were all so good.
Like how the first few bosses were people that you know from previous Kirby games, and then after rescuing them, because they're kind of polluted by this dark matter or evil force, you free them to then assist you, and so they work with you. They're in kind of cutscenes, but then they work with you on various stages. So when they were actually designing this game at first, they wanted those to be playable characters.
Ooh.
You get to play as King Dedede a few times, but they wanted you to actually be able to play more. They scrapped that. But you rescue Waddle Dee. Is it Adeline, and King Dedede, and then they show up and help you on future stages. I thought that was super cool.
Yeah.
Adeline is the painter?
Yeah.
Yes.
That fight blew my mind. I knew like Kirby does bosses well. There's some classic ones. You know, seeing
tree,
some like well-known Kirby characters, the tree, you know, like all of that was welcome. But the implementation where they played with the whole like paint your enemies and then they jump off, but also have this painted style where they look different than the rest of the graphics around them was so fun.
Yeah, I agreed. That one was a standout for sure. And when I actually want to hear your thoughts on this, Dustin, because I was watching you stream in Discord a little this week. So some of those like moments where Waddle Dee and some of the other ones come to help you are like almost like Donkey Kong style stages where it's like a roller coaster.
The
minecart.
Yeah.
And there's like a snow one as well. You sled. They were slightly frustrating to me. Not Donkey Kong frustrating. Those are super hard. But I don't know. Watching you, it seemed like you were frustrated, but I'm not sure.
I was frustrated on some of it, but honestly, man, this game's difficulty level is relatively low.
Oh, for sure.
Like, so
it's a kid's game.
I don't think I died until the third world, maybe the third star, and then I died a lot. But I also had 12 lives, like and I could get him back fairly quickly. So like I was being a little flighty with it. It wasn't until the shark boss that caused me a little bit of frustration there.
Oh,
the orca.
I wish you would have seen it, Kenny. Dustin,
sharks,
tell him what happened.
I mean, a lot of things happened, but one of the things in particular that happened is that I finally killed him after dying a few times. But because I had thrown a power off, it's a side-scrolling, or it's a scrolling boss battle, at least the second phase is, and it scrolls up. Well, I had thrown my ability when I defeated him, and so I couldn't swim, and I fell under the bottom of the screen and died finally beating him.
After killing the boss.
Yeah.
Garlo came off mute, and he was like, "That's amazing."
It was painful, but so I felt some of that during this specific times when the teammates came, like King Dedede and Waddle Dee. I didn't find those exceptionally difficult. I mean, definitely harkened back to Donkey Kong Country because those Minecraft sequences are ingrained in my brain there. But I felt those sequences here and pretty much the entirety of this game is relatively easy, and the game's not that long. You can play it in a matter of a few hours. You might not 100% complete it, but you can definitely get through it.
Aged.
I think the developers did something brilliant here.
Yeah, by letting you use the D-pad. We've established that.
Absolutely not. Instead of trying to do what so many developers did on the Nintendo 64 and be realistic, that's in quotes for those that can't see, they went simple, they went bright, they went colorful, and I think that pays off in spades, especially here 21 years later.
Well, and also the fact that it wasn't like third-person view of Kirby where you're like exploring stages. It was still a 2D platformer, which is traditional Kirby. I agree. I think it was very smart of them to do that because it still feels new in 3D, like big time. It's a it's a visual trick and it works.
It makes it so much more future-proof.
Yeah.
Every decision they made from the you could play this without an N64 controller and not hate it, unlike a ton of N64 games. You can look at it and not go like, oh, weird polygons, what were they going for? Because they kept it simple and clean and bright and Kirby cartoony. Everything they did were these really wise choices that made this game just sort of like time capsule safe. And it's weird. I don't think they were doing that intentionally, but I think they were intentionally doing things that ended up making this game age really well.
It's interesting because it's so future-proof that I wonder if people, when it came out, were a little bit frustrated at how simple and straightforward it was, because it doesn't seem as though it's pushing anything crazy. Now, the environments are going to be much more advanced than Kirby games prior to this. The color is going to pop much more than Kirby games prior to this. And then the power combo mix, that's a whole new feature there. But outside of those things, you're doing a lot of the same stuff you've done before.
It really did get some flack when it came out from reviewers of like, not really innovative. You know, everybody else has gone 3D. What are they thinking? You know, my words, but like there absolutely was a little bit of that of like, oh, come on, we're past this, but we're not. Like, it's classic. And I love people that lean into doing something that works and doing it well and just adding, you know, new look, the 3D depth, or just adding a new mechanic that you haven't done, the combination of powers, or they were just real smart.
Yeah.
I mean, the release before this was Kirby Dream Land 3 on Super Nintendo. So
it's going to be a big jump.
Yeah. I'm kind of annoyed that people were annoyed about
You're mad
this
at
game.
The people from 20 years ago?
Yes, because like, come on, you could go. Look, you want your realistic faces? Go play GoldenEye and look at the disgusting faces that they put on them, and we're like, hey, look, realism. Like this works so well, and it's to me, it's still impressive graphically because of the
for sure.
of how they use perspective. And like you kind of, it's almost like when we say 2D, don't think straight on looking at a screen and you're moving, right? You are under the hood, but visually it looks like you're going in a circle, like you're curving.
Sure.
You're Kirby. And just the way they handled the camera perspective is actually so clever. I'm very impressed.
That's that 2.5D perspective that they're able to really create an immersive environment and immersive worlds. And that's why it shines so well here on a system that is known for graphically having issues with those polygons and stuff. And on so many good games on the system, because you could control the camera slightly for the first time, you could see things they didn't want you to see.
Mario
you could
64.
do things they didn't want you to do.
Yeah.
But for here, they set it up in such a way that they control the camera, but they show you exactly what they want to. So it's all pre-planned, all pre-designed, and it is beautiful. It's beautiful and beautifully done.
Now, the soundtrack.
Yeah, it's rough.
Okay. Yeah, last week I was kind of like hyping up the soundtrack, so I doubt that either one of you didn't like it. It's so perfect. It fits Kirby's tone perfect, but it's so catchy, and it's actually like kind of a long soundtrack for a video game. I was listening to it this week, and I needed to know the composer's name. I wanted to shout that out. It's Jun Ishikawa and Hirokazu Ando. I don't recognize their names from anything else. I don't know if they were like strictly Kirby composers, but man, it ages beautifully. I love this soundtrack.
The music is incredible. We have at least one of the songs on our like chill playlist for N64.
It's the second stage.
It's the second stage. Got you. The music is just so good, and it's entirely different songs for each stage, I believe.
Pretty much, yeah.
I mean, it just feels, it goes along with the stage. It's pre-designed, done with a lot of love, done with a lot of attention, and is absolutely beautiful. Every single song I felt was remarkable. The game is fairly expensive to get your hands on today. You can get a loose cartridge for $28, so that's not bad if you just want the cartridge, right? But if you want it new, or if you want it in a box, we're looking at $250, $260. It's around there to be able to get this.
I thought it would be more. In 64 unopened, that's where you start to get into some insane numbers, like Mario 64. I can only imagine that's probably like a lot of money.
And then I'm sure you know, but if you want to play other Kirby games, there are some. So you could always go either direction, before and play on some of the consoles or handhelds, or after and play on some consoles and handhelds. I don't know what the newest Kirby is. Do either of you have any idea?
Yeah, it's
Kirby Fighters 2, actually.
Ooh, that's not what I was going to say at all.
Came out on the Nintendo Switch September 23rd, 2020. So very recent.
So I think the last like main title is the Epic Yarn, which was a Wii game, and I don't think it went over very well. 'Cause they started trying to get weird with graphics again, and it just didn't work.
If I was guessing, I was going to say Super Smash Bros. Ultimate, which is obviously a Kirby title.
Yeah, maybe we should have talked about that a little bit. Oh, well.
Final thoughts.
At the end of each and every one of our episodes, we determine whether or not the game gets our vote for New Game Plus status, which is our general thumbs up or thumbs down. Requires 2/3 of the vote to swing one way or the other. Kenny, I just feel like you don't get to go first much, so I'm going to pick you.
Yeah, this one is a pretty easy NGP for me. Mainly because of the weird power move combining mechanic. There's other good stuff about this game, but again, relative to some of its competition, there are places where it's not as good as some things. And again, I'm not knocking the choice to do standard, like, two-dimensional platforming or any of those kinds of things, but there were heavy hitters coming out. And so this would have been just a good game without that mechanic. With it, this easily is a quite good game to me. So love the power combining, and I love Kirby too. Better than Spyro any day. Take that.
Ooh.
NGP status for me.
I don't know why Spyro isn't in Smash Brothers yet, but
Ooh,
hopefully someday.
That'd be a fun
No,
addition.
They're just gonna put Final Fantasy characters over and over and over.
And your game characters,
Minecraft?
Sacred Stones. No, what's that game? Sacred Stones.
Oh, Fire Emblem. Yeah, there's like
Fire Emblem
30.
games. Yeah, I know. Nobody likes.
That's because it has a cast of 427
Yeah.
characters.
Yeah. All right, so this is the best Kirby game that I've played. And I didn't grow up liking Kirby, and it's still not my go-to, of course. My platforming isn't necessarily my go-to, but this is a great game. And on the system, man,
Yeah.
on the console, like, it doesn't have some of the hangups that you have when you come to the N64. They skirted around those things. I think they missed some opportunities in doing that by going so simplistic. But thinking about it, that's kind of what Kirby is. It's always been more of for a younger audience, or at least a lighter gaming experience, not as much challenge as some of the other platformers that were its contemporaries. But I thought this one is just remarkable. The power mix combos are amazing. The stages are completely immersive. I love getting a cast of characters that come along with Kirby, and then he's just cute. It's the only Kirby game, I think, or maybe the first one, that he didn't dance at the end of a stage, which was disappointing. Instead, he just turns to the camera and waves and says, "Hi," or something like that, which is adorable. Kirby 64, the Crystal Shards, definitely gets my vote.
Same. So I will talk about this because I thought, or just remembered, how Lab developed Smash Brothers. So that was interesting to me. And in Smash Brothers, Kirby has a set number of jumps. And in this game, it has a set number of jumps, which is new to that series.
Like flying.
Flying, yeah.
Yeah, his floating, and this
used
one
to be
is not
infinite.
indefinite.
Yeah. So anyways, how I didn't know they developed this game at all, but Smash Brothers developers. So you knew it was going to be quality. I knew it was. It's actually so good. And if you've never played a Kirby game, this is a great one to start with, I think. And then you can go back and play the older ones, and still have fun, I think. But like I'm just, for so many reasons, but if for nothing else, just this team being able to make a game or bring a series over to N64 into the 3D world, which failed in some series, went well in others. I got to give them props. Easy NGP. It's so good. Soundtrack is so good.
Which means Kirby 64, the Crystal Shards, is New Game Plus certified. But what did you think? We had a ton of people write in, many of them for the very first time. Not going to be able to read all of them, but hop into our Discord commentary channel and you can see what our different community members thought of this game. Mochi, one of the people that submitted this game, said Kirby 64, the Crystal Shards represented the things I enjoy in games and in general. Amazing music, great visuals, and loads of cuteness. I love and appreciate how creative it is, from the camera movement to the numerous ability combinations. I didn't even know about the chomp-looking thing until the first play. The colors are crisp and vivid. The background flows with the foreground so neatly. There were many times where I accidentally threw the ability up in the air at someone or had it destroyed. This left me to enter the first boss fight empty-handed. Thankfully, the stars worked as weapons if you didn't have any. There are games that came after that had polygon graphics, but that wasn't the case here. I think it still holds up well today, whether you're a big fan of Kirby, the bubblegum, or just want a more relaxing game that doesn't require much. It can be enjoyed by many. I give it a squishy NGP.
Squishy NGP.
Oh.
Moshi, the chomp thing surprised me too, because they give that to you like early in the first stage, and Kirby turns into this giant crocodile thing. Like, all right.
I mean, I think they did use polygons here, right? Isn't that how you create N64 graphics? They just do it in such a remarkable way that Kirby is a circle.
You forget.
Around.
You forget. Yeah.
The BGF. I don't think it's the BFG. I think it's the BGF. I hope I got it right, said the unique implementation of 3D was a visual treat. The game sticks to the classic side-scrolling action Kirby is known for, but your path frequently changes directions, weaving its way around the environment, making you feel like you are playing in proper 3D space. The level designs were mostly ordinary, but discovering new combos, abilities kept things interesting. My favorite was Burn plus Spark, which made Kirby set himself on fire and run maniacally at his enemies. The game features some interesting and unique bosses, but none present a significant challenge. Overall, you get what you expect from a Kirby experience, a cute, fun platformer that you can breeze through in a few hours. There are better games in the series, but Kirby 64, the Crystal Shards, is worth a playthrough nonetheless.
Yep.
B.
Agreed.
G. F.
That's not commentary, Kenny. Yeah, the level designs, too simplistic, some would say.
No. So good because of the camera helping you explore. It's like doing the work for you, and so you just kind of go right. It's great. The lava stage, I'm gonna say it again, is so good and fun and great.
I do like that it's not a collectathon, but you are searching for these crystal shards. You can beat the game without collecting all of them, but to complete it and get a good ending. By the way, there's 2 different endings.
Yeah, one where Kirby dies and
no,
he doesn't.
The star that he's on blows up. Sin Doctor said this game is a big nostalgic blast from the past for me. So with that, going into this felt hard to be objective about giving this game a fair shake. That being said, I think as a Kirby game, it holds up very well. Colorful visuals, brilliant music, so many combos, the snowman one still cracks me up, and just all around classic Kirby gameplay. While I don't think this game is incredibly groundbreaking or reinvents the wheel or anything, I think that what it does well and just feels good to play. Sometimes all you want is a Kirby game that does what it's supposed to do. NGP for me for sure.
Yeah. This game is a mitten. Like, it's not the newest.
Don't explain.
It's a mitten.
Okay, it's a mitten.
It's a mitten, guys.
Smitten
and I
by
bet
the mitten. Let's go.
I bet Kirby
smitten by this game.
Yeah, I'm just gonna stop. And then Keo-san, sorry, longtime listener, but this is my first time writing in.
Hey.
I have to say this game is good. No more, no less. The gameplay is too slow and the camera is odd, but other than that, it's a gem. The music is great and I love the dual ability system. Mix ice and lightning to get a fridge? Sold! That's what you brought up, Ken. I give this game New Game Plus, but be aware, this is a bit slow compared to others. I would recommend Kirby Planet Robobot and Triple Deluxe as a first Kirby game.
I don't know about either one of those entries, so that's... I mean, they're probably right. I don't know.
I'm just too much of a purist. Everyone who's like, oh, start on this game or that game. No, just like if you're into a series, go play the first one and then play the rest of them.
Not always how it
normal
works,
human.
No, not always how it works. Especially not with Kirby. It's not like it's a continuation of a storyline that you really need to stay glued to.
Kenny, you're going to tell people to go play Civ 2? You're going to tell them to start there?
No, start at Civilization 1.
Oh gosh, no. Okay, so that is Kirby 64, the Crystal Shards. Thank you so much for your commentary on the Retro Game of the Week. Like I mentioned earlier, you can always submit your thoughts on the Retro Game of the Week to ngppodcast@gmail.com or drop by in our Discord. There's a commentary channel there. We'd love to include your thoughts as a part of our show next week. But for now, we're going to put aside Kirby 64 and we're going to randomly select the next Retro Game of the Week from our expansive Retro Master List. Randomizing now.
I hope it's Kirby RoboCop.
We're going to be playing a game that was published by THQ, developed by a few different companies for a few different consoles, because the game came out in 2003 for the PlayStation 2, the Xbox, and the GameCube.
Man, we're getting some recent stuff on here lately.
This is definitely a recent title, guys. It's a game, a platform video game, so we're staying in the same typical genre.
I like how you always start with "it's a game."
I said platform. It's a platform video game. A platform video game based on a show, an animated show.
Great.
One that actually came from Nickelodeon.
Oh, Rugrats.
And this one has a clothing item as a part of the name.
Oh.
We are playing... Oh, gosh.
Okay.
I hate this. We are playing SpongeBob SquarePants Battle for Bikini Bottom.
Okay, hear me out. I think you'll be surprised.
No, I will not.
Shh. SpongeBob games are surprisingly good. I've never played one, but a lot of people swear that they are good.
I've never played one, but he's heard on the street.
SpongeBob SquarePants. So there's 2 clothing articles in the title.
Yeah, there are.
Wow.
Sponge.
Do y'all know what Bikini Bottom is?
It's where he lives.
That's where he lives.
But I don't think I'm a SpongeBob fan. I don't think y'all are. I think you're
we're
old.
too old.
Yeah.
But
When you
just
said
barely.
Nickelodeon, I forgot you said animated, and you said clothing item. I was thinking a game based
Salute
on,
Your
like,
Shorts?
Salute Your Shorts. I was like, that's a terrible
Dude,
idea.
I wish
but
there was.
I love going back
Hey,
that far. But yeah, no.
Find a copy of SpongeBob SquarePants Battle for Bikini Bottoms. We do need to figure out what console we're probably playing on, because they were developed by a few different people.
They always got ported. They were on every single console. Let's say
again,
PlayStation.
it was originally released PlayStation 2, Xbox, and GameCube.
PS2. Well,
PS2.
I think PS2.
PS2, but the conversation will continue in Discord this week.
Okay.
So find a copy, play it along with us.
Grab a Krabby Patty and head over to our Discord server, ngppodcast.com, and then you can click join us on Discord and help us get to 1 million users.
Amen.
We just recently had our monthly hangout with our patrons last night in our Discord server. So join us there, connect with our community, connect with us. We'll talk to you there.
If you do join us in Discord, you may also decide to go even further and support what we do in making this podcast every week for forever by joining us on patreon.com. You'll be like Keegan if you do.
Hey,
who is a new patron this week. Thanks, Keegan. And you'll also join possibly the hallowed likes of folks like our wonderful director level supporters, Antonin and Garlisle, or our growing list of producers, who there are enough of them now that this becomes like a horse and 2-year-old situation. Like, they could beat us up. You know, like Nolan looks confused. You know, the internet meme questions, like, could you fight 52 ducks or whatever? I don't know how they all work. There's a lot of them, including Amarlian, Austin, Ben, Bethany Fox, Bro Jim, Carrie, Dan the Man, Francesca, Corey, Maxima, Mr. Latte, Shauna, Unbedavable, William, and Zion. That's a horde.
What's he talking about?
He said horde of 2-year-olds.
I thought he said horse.
Nolan and I heard horse and 2-year-olds.
No, I said horse or 2-year-olds. There's lots of versions of this.
There's no version of a horse and 2-year-olds, but we want to thank all 2-year-olds.
Separate ones.
Listen, we want to thank all 2-year-olds and horses that listen to this podcast. That's what Kenny was getting at. You can follow us on our social media, Facebook, Twitter, Twitch, and YouTube. All of those links are in the show notes. Listen directly on any podcast provider of your choice. Make sure you subscribe so that you are the first to get new NGP episodes. And while you're at it, leave a kind rating and review. This episode was edited and produced by our good friend Tom Tate. Join us next week as we play SpongeBob SquarePants Battle for Bikini Bottom. Until then, I'm still Dustin.
I am still not a member of One Direction.
Subscribe on YouTube.
You didn't say the line. And this has been...
did!
Baby, you light up my world. New
Thank
Game Plus.